This TDT is about planning a science lesson for secondary school, so you had to pitch it at the correct level. So this is my lesson. The video is about planning a lesson to be taught in a secondary school, and I've chosen to look at biodiversity, and I think it's a third level one that I'm doing, and the experience and outcome that I've chosen to look at is I can sample and identify living things from different habitats to compare their biodiversity and can suggest reasons for their distribution. So basically my lesson was on pitfall traps and Punnett squares, and pupils going out to be able to put the Punnett squares down, put the pitfall traps down, and seeing the different things that they found and comparing them, their habitats and their biodiversity. The previous experience that the people should have will be the basic knowledge of biodiversity and why it's important, and they'll also have experience of making Punnett squares and also pitfall traps, so they'll know what they're doing. So I've already said the experience and outcome that they're looking for, and the learning intention that they're going to be working towards is to be able to identify different species which live in the school grounds and explain biodiversity. So the success criteria is going to be using a Punnett square and pitfall trap successfully and being able to identify the different organisms. The setting the context will be just a brief introduction to the lesson, having a quick vocabulary check, making sure the children know what all the different words mean. So biodiversity, ask for examples of each and definitions. In terms of assessment, we will listen to the answers given and also the explanations and judge assessment based on those answers. We'll also make the pitfall traps. The first part of the teaching and learning is getting the children into pairs and having them get a Punnett square and pitfall trap each and go anywhere in the school grounds to be able to find an area where they want to check the biodiversity for. The next part would be for the children to go and set their pitfall traps, come back to the class and go over their Punnett squares, which they've put out at the same time, but the Punnett squares is for the plants, and they can look at the difference in habitats and biodiversity for the plants. 15 minutes later they'll go back down and collect their pitfall traps, and as a pair they'll go over it together, and then as a class they'll go over it and record it using photographs, and we'll treat it as an investigation. To end the lesson, we'll discuss why these organisms are able to live where they are and talk about the biodiversity of each of the ecosystems, and then go over the learning, intention and success criteria and make sure they've learned what they set out to.